House Manderly of White Harbour in the north, and formerly of Dunstonbury in the Reach, are one of the biggest noble families in Westeros, having played a huge role in the history of the Seven Kingdoms. Their banner is a white merman with dark green hair, beard and tail, carrying a black trident over a blue-green field. As of A Dance with Dragons, we do not currently know their house words. House Manderly is one of the most unique houses in Westeros, being one of the few to relocate from their traditional seat of Dunstonbury in the Reach to White Harbour in the north, after they were exiled from the Reach by the then Kings of the Reach, House Gardener, wherein the Kings of Winter, House Stark, accepted the Manderlys, granting them the small castle of the Wolf's Den, which House Manderly would then develop over the centuries into White Harbour, the only true city in the north. Given their relocation from the Reach, they have several customs that differ from the rest of the north. Namely, the Manderlys continue to follow the Faith of the Seven, as they did in the south. They also claim and maintain membership in the Order of the Green Hand, although the knightly order was destroyed at the Field of Fire during Aegon's conquest. The Manderlys are a long and ancient line who can trace their lineage far back to the First Men and the legendary figure Garth Greenhand. They once lived along the banks of the mighty river Mander in the Kingdom of the Reach, and some claim the river was named after them, while others that the river gave them their name. They historically have a long-running rivalry with House Peak, even to the modern day. During the reign of the Gardener Kings in the Reach, King Gawain III Gardener persuaded Lords Manderly and Peak to accept his judgment on a quarrel and do fealty for their lands, without any bloodshed. Like other houses of the Reach, the Manderlys presumably converted from the old gods of the First Men to the Faith of the Seven after the Gardeners welcomed the Andals into their kingdom. However, their First Men heritage would later help them assimilate to life in the north after their relocation. Near the end of the long reign of King Garth X, a problem arose with the succession, as the elderly and senile Garth had sired no sons and only daughters, one of whom had married a Lord Manderly, and another to a Lord Peak. Both lords were determined their own wife should succeed to the throne at Highgarden, and the rivalry between them was marked by betrayal, conspiracy, and murder, and finally escalated into open war, with other lords joining the cause on both sides. The anarchy that followed lasted almost a decade, until Sir Osmond Tyrell, the High Steward of Highgarden, made common cause with the other lords of the Reach, who had grown tired of the two houses' ongoing and never-ending conflict, and defeated the Peaks and the Manderlys in separate battles. Osmond then placed a distant cousin of the late Garth X on the throne as King Mern VI Gardener, with neither of the wives of Lord Peak or Manderly ever voicing their claim again. At some point, House Manderly overreached itself, although the exact details of how are lost to the pages of time, but they were driven from the Reach by the Gardeners. According to Maester Yandel, the exile of House Manderly is credited to a Lord Lomere Peak on the behest of King Pericon III Gardener, who feared the Manderlys' ever-growing influence and power in the Reach. Yet no specific one incident can be cited as the cause, but ultimately this led to House Peak being granted the Manderlys' seat at Dunstonbury and all the lands that came with it. Bringing all their wealth with them, the Manderlys fled to the north, where they were welcomed by the Starks of Winterfell as their own bannermen. The Starks awarded the Wolf's Den to the Manderlys and tasked them with defending the White Knife in return for swearing an oath that they would always be loyal subjects to House Stark. This history instilled the Manderlys with a great loyalty to their new liege lords, even into the time of the main book series, with House Manderly being one of the most powerful and loyal bannermen for House Stark. When exactly the Manderlys came north is unknown. In 211 AC, Lady Roanne Webber dated the flight of the Manderlys as having occurred 1,000 years ago. Lord Godric Borrell finds the period to be no more than 900 years, before 300 AC. However, both Wyler Manderly as well as Maester Yandel dates the arrival of the Manderlys to the north a bit further back, 1,000 years before the conquest, so there is no clear consensus on when the Manderlys were forced out of the Reach. In the direct aftermath of Aegon's conquest, Sir Warwick Manderly and Queen Visenya Targaryen suppressed the Sistermen's rebellion with ease, and Lord Steffan Sunderland as a result sent a son to be fostered with the Manderlys. Mara Manderly was one of many companions to Queen Alysanne Targaryen at Dragonstone in 55 AC. Her father, Lord Theomore Manderly, would later go on to host Alysanne in 58 AC, when the Queen visited White Harbour as part of her royal progress, with Mara's sister, Jessamine, serving as her cupbearer. Much later, Theomore Manderly was to marry Princess Visenya Targaryen, the daughter of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne in 86 AC, but the high-spirited and wild young girl died after falling from a horse while racing drunkenly through the streets of King's Landing. House Manderly would then go on to support Princess Rhaenys Targaryen in the Great Council of 101 at Harrenhal, like many of the other northern houses. However, they were still in the minority in that regard. During the Dance of the Dragons, Prince Jaehaerys Velaryon travelled to White Harbour and Winterfell and convinced the North to join the Blacks. After agreeing that his youngest daughter should wed Prince Joffrey Velaryon once fighting ended, Lord Desmond Manderly sent warriors, led by his sons Ser Medric and Ser Torrent, to support Rhaenyra Targaryen. The courtly brothers were well regarded in King's Landing, especially when compared to the other Northmen who served in the host of Lord Cregan Stark. Torrent would then serve as one of the regents of King Aegon III after the war, resigning in 132 AC after the deaths of his father and brother, but Lord Torrent would eventually again serve Aegon III as his hand of the king, until 136 AC when the regency ended and he dismissed Lord Manderly and his regency council. As shown through history, House Manderly would marry in to the Stark bloodline many times over the years, creating a close familial bond between the two houses, entrenching the loyalty House Manderly has for the Starks even deeper. In much more recent history, House Manderly was present at the tourney at Harrenhal in 281 AC, and later, when Lord Eddard Stark called his banners to join in Robert Baratheon's rebellion against King Aerys Targaryen, the Mad King, Lord Wyman Manderly led his men south, fighting in the Battle of the Trident.